Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. My name is Ryan, and I'm here to react to Everton versus Brighton, which obviously was a 0-0 draw, which, as you can imagine by the expression on my face, was highly demoralising and extremely deflating. We will have Basil joining us in a brief moment. If you're watching, be sure to comment and let us know what you think about the game. Is that European football over, or have we still got a chance given that we still play Spurs, West Ham, and Arsenal? Are we still in with a chance? I just want to say that, Ancelotti is not exempt from criticism here because he set up those players to play that style of football. And I think for 80 minutes, we've shown absolutely nothing yet again. And then they've kind of panicked with 10 minutes to go and thought, we're going to have a real go here, or the season's over. Basil, are you ready? Give me the nod if you're ready to come in. You're just wiggling your chair. He's in the background. He's going to be joining us now, bringing you in. Basil, feeling extremely deflated after that game. I mean, the blood boiling. Let's start with the lineup. What's going on there? It's just a case of whoever's available, we put in the team.
Well, that's it, isn't it? We only had 12 players.
But we spent 100 million, and we've got a bunch of kids.
What is going on with us in training? I just don't get it. We show we show nothing on the pitch. That means we would get injured, and then we get injured all the time in training. Like we're actually putting a shift in training. I just don't get it.
I don't think they're playing football in training. They're doing MMA or boxing or something to get injured, because it's certainly not on the pitch. There's no over excursions on the pitch.
The training games are more competitive than our actual matches. That's all I can think of.
The team, obviously, we've got 12 players available. He's just picked whoever he had, and I think that's just been a case the whole season. Whoever got available and trying to cobble together a formation. I don't think at any stage I've ever looked at this team under Ancelotti and thought, wow, this is blowing me away. This is phenomenal. Maybe the first 7 games of the season, there was some sort of plan. But the minute one injury took place, I think it was Coleman and Godfrey had to come in at right back. The whole team, it looked disjointed, and James got exposed. And I don't think we found a solution since. I can only really think of the Liverpool game away, where we looked like we had a game plan to go and win the game. I mean, I don't know whether I'm being just overly emotional right now, but I don't see patterns of play. I don't see a style of football. We don't seem to be a pressing team or a team that wants to drop off. And then going forward, there's no width, there's no out ball. It is a shambles. And if it was under the manager, I think people would be really, really furious.
It looks like that was the team he was going to play anyway, barring Calvert-Lewin. And I don't know how much of an impact Calvert-Lewin would have actually had on that team today, because we just were all over the place. I mean, obviously Richarlison was completely isolated, but I think the holes were there to see in the midfield, and just no width. I mean, our width was from fullback, but our fullbacks never crossed the halfway line. So there was nothing.
Well, this is the problem. That system relies on playing your fullbacks forward and trying to get them to provide the width. And the minute they do that, we're exposed down the sides. It's like 1v1s constantly. Doesn't work.
We're doing with their foot. They played exactly the same sort of formation, except 2 strikers up front instead of we had one. We had a centre back instead of a striker, and basically it just counteracted each other. We just knocked each other.
I thought Brighton were more mobile than us, and they wanted it more for the majority of the game. It was almost like we were waiting for something to happen, and I think that was either to concede or just someone to send a rocket up their backside. I think the substitution did make a difference, Iwobi, but he brought him on as a second striker. This is a guy who scored, I think, 1 goal all season or something ridiculous. It just stinks for me, and I'm not exonerating Ancelotti after that performance, because it's nor the same. And Dave's come in here. Richarlison's taken 20 steps backwards in the last month. I mean, he was completely isolated today, though. I mean, there's just no one willing to get forward and support him.
I thought he was one of our better players today. I mean, he did win things. I didn't expect him to win as many things as he did against their 3 centre-backs. He's completely isolated. Just 1 striker the whole match. We had no intent to go there and actually win that game. Nothing.
Dave, one thing I noticed, we was like 5-6 minutes left. and there was no one in the box, and there was 6 of them in a line, like together. 6 Everton players. Like, everyone wants to be behind the ball. No one wants to go and stretch. No one wants to run in behind. And on a couple of occasions, he did do that with Sigurdsson. I think he ran in behind. Awobi. Just thinking who else. There was a couple of moments where there was a bit of movement in behind, and it works because it creates space. But for the majority of the game, no one's willing to take the initiative and run forward and make that movement that's going to split open and find, give James an opportunity to play them through.
The only times we really created anything was down the sides and the inside channels between fullback and centre back. And obviously with Charlton isolated, it really relied, for me, I was crying out for some wingers. Wingers, I know we didn't have any, but someone to play in that wide right and wide left position and, offer something down the channel, because I just don't see us having any joy playing with Charlton against the big 3 centre-backs they have. And then, what they do is they pack the midfield, Brighton, with this sort of, it's like a 3-5-2, isn't it? They just pack it out with 2 strikers and 3 midfielders. And, we were losing that midfield battle a lot of the time. So we had no way of getting through there. So I felt like it would all had to come down the sides, and we just had nobody there.
I think one thing that really annoyed me was that every time we got pressed, we lost the ball. There seems to be a lack of ball retention. I mean, this is what brings it back to training. I don't know what we're doing in training. You look at someone like Davis, the ball comes into him in midfield, and it's like he gets hounded straight away because they know he's going to lose it. It's like, I think we should have played James in midfield.
The whole match, backwards and sideways. And Ancelotti's defence in the post-match interview, from what I saw, he basically said, I'm waiting for Allen and I'm waiting for Takore. And until then, we've got no midfield. And, I do want to blame Ancelotti a little bit on this performance, like you said. But he is right. Without sort of a steady base to play off, we couldn't get through. We just couldn't build anything up. We were going long ball most of the time. And to what? To Richarlison? Isolated? Who's he going to flick it onto? No one's up there. We're playing 6 defenders, 4 centre-backs, 2 full-backs.
This is it. This is the comment from Dave. Brian.
Right.
Sorry if I got your name wrong. We'll call you Dave. He says we played 5 at the back and ended up with 8 defenders versus Palace, and the forwards we have. It was the same today, wasn't it? There was 6 defenders on the pitch, and I just don't understand.
What
boring
Everton fan
football.
wants to watch us play with that many defenders? It's so bad. It's like watching paint dry.
You know what this game reminded me of? It reminded of me when we used to go to Old Trafford and we wouldn't lay a glove.
Yeah,
and we play like
Brighton.
8.
Why are we playing? I know we were forced into it, but look, there's 2 schools of thinking about it. One is we play all the experienced players we had and we fit them in somehow, which is what he did, or we put a kid in or a couple of kids in, and we actually play a proper formation that looks like we're going to get a goal.
Why didn't he do the 4 centre-backs? He had the 4 of them and then just push Coleman and Dean into midfield and just have a go.
And I think he went against that because he knew that Brighton would play with 2 strikers and a cam in behind, and he wanted to pack that centre of defence. I didn't like Sigurdsson playing left.
Doesn't work, does it?
Didn't understand why we needed to play a back 3, 2 deep wing backs, then have 3 solid, like, I know they're not solid as in what they want to do. He's playing like another CDM, isn't he? They were playing like a CDM, and James, the 3 of them were playing like CDMs, Davies, James and Sigurdsson.
It's unbearable. It's absolutely unbearable. What I didn't get was why Sigurdsson, Rodriguez, and Richarlison were not like a 3 in a 3 close together at the tip of the pitch, and everyone else. You got that many defenders. Go and fucking defend and do something for once. It was almost like everyone's just passing the buck, stood in the little statue positions. Oh, Mina, hello. It's Keane. I'm stood 5 yards away. It's like everyone doing their own. Everyone's trying to do the same role in the team, and no one's actually taking any responsibility because there's that many of them stood around.
There's just too many of them at the back, and when we had the ball and Brighton had men behind it, and obviously they were pressing us a lot, But when we look up for a pass, it's a diamond, but with one striker at the very top. And there's just no options. No, it's so narrow. You're just going to go nowhere quickly.
Can I just say one thing? You know, the last 10 minutes, we actually showed a bit of urgency and we looked okay.
I don't know.
Iwobi nearly scored at the end. He's the last
He
player you
did,
want the ball to fall
but
to.
he's got no composure. He just smashes it, doesn't he?
Just a nice little left foot curl.
You want James. If that was James on that ball, you'd think, juicy, that's going to go in the top corner.
Sickening. I'm at the point now where I would disconnect from it and end the season and just forget about it and cut myself off.
They're desperate to end the season now, aren't they? But why end the season now?
Stunk it.
We've worked for 30 games and we just want to cut off from it.
We've absolutely petered out. I'm sorry.
This is the lowest point we've been in the season. We had that run, didn't we, where we lost to Southampton and Newcastle. It feels like we're in that sort of a rut where we just can't get anywhere.
But there's games to make up now and I just don't think there is now. We've got 8 games. We play Villa twice, West Ham away, Arsenal away, Spurs at home. We can't beat Brighton and we can't beat Palace. And I think there was a game, Burnley, was it, or something? 6
points we've just played for. We got 1 against Crystal Palace at home. And Brighton. How have we done that?
It's unbearable because the football's shocking. I get my text messages are hammered because the football's diabolical. And if it was another manager, people would be absolutely livid. The home form's a disgrace. 12th last season, obviously, we've invested money. He's been unlucky with injuries, but the football's not much better than it was last season. And the home form's worse.
Did you hear Coleman in his post-match?
No, I don't want to hear it.
Well, he basically, he didn't want to blame it on the injuries. He said if we'd won against Palace, this would have been a good result. But, the fact is we didn't win against Palace, which means we needed to win tonight. So why didn't we play in a way that we try and win? Because at the end of the day, a point is really not going to help us very much. We need to go for it and get the 3 points. And if worst case, we lose it. But it's not like we're playing Spurs, where if we lose it, we lose. It's a 6-pointer. This is Brighton. They're not going to chase us down. So let's go for it now. And then against Spurs, you've got your 2 points on Spurs, and you try and get a draw.
Dave, the Spurs game won't matter on Friday. It's going to be completely out of the question. He's talking about we're saving them for Spurs. He's got a little knock.
Champions League race now. If we weren't
already. I don't want to hear it, but he's done that. He's rested those players for Spurs, and the game it's no longer relevant. Well, apparently they had minor things. He probably would have played if it was a one-off.
Yeah, I've heard.
So he's kept them. Well, he's kept them. He's not pushed them. He's not pushed
Sounds
players.
Like they had niggles, but they could play through it.
Yeah, he's part. What I mean is he's looking ahead at the Spurs game.
I don't know. Can you? What about Ellis Sims?
He's on loan.
Can you say why did he go on loan? Because where was Josh King tonight? We don't know what happened to him.
Josh King, another mysterious injury. Gomez obviously got injured. Decore's out. Bernard's got a mysterious injury. It's all very secretive. I got told about Jean-Philippe Gabamin from a friend of mine who's got some really close sources to Goodison. He texted me at 7 this morning and said, might have been earlier. He said Gabamin's got a serious injury. I just thought I'm not fucking believing it, because it's almost getting like an April Fool every day, and it's gonna get to the point where just cut your losses.
I don't know what's going on in central midfield. We're missing Gabamin, Delph, Gomez, Decore, and Allen.
I wouldn't mind, but half of them aren't even any good. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're waiting for the paint to dry, but the colour's orange. Do you know what I mean? It's like I know Allen's a big improvement, but he's still like another slow crab in midfield.
Yeah, but the thing is, today you put Allen in there, you take a defender out. We don't need that many defenders, and it allows James to get on the ball higher up the pitch. And Sigurdsson, I just felt Sigurdsson.
Okay.
It was like he had a metal neck thing around his neck, and he was being towed by some sort of truck back to our goal.
Slow.
Pulled back. Like he had to defend, basically. He wasn't allowed to go forward.
I
and
agree.
create and hold. I almost felt sometimes like I wanted Sigurdsson playing like a false nine with Charlison towards the left, making balls in behind the channel there.
But he had to be there to hold Davis's hand.
Davies seemed to spend so much time in the opponent's half trying to like be our main attacker. Did you notice that?
He's just like a kid who's won a competition. He's like, I'm going to have a go. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
It's
that's
like,
no, but I felt like we had nothing going forward, and he felt like he had to be there, to get on the end of things, and he's just
he
useless when it
offers
comes to
nothing.
an attacking
Offers
threat.
nothing. I don't want to be Mr. Negative, but Tom Davis, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He seems like a really nice person. He doesn't offer anything. He's not got any natural football brain, no talent whatsoever. And I'm not very good at football. Yeah, but I'm just watching it. I'm just from comparing him to other players that I've seen in an Everton shirt. He's not at the level. And Sigurdsson's infuriating. You say you're spot on, David. He's got the shackles. He's been playing left defensive midfield basically the whole match. He's arguably gonna. He can't even pass the ball. This thing really winds me up. His passes. It's almost like he puts a little too a little. You know what I'm trying to say? Not enough power on the passes. They're always like a little bit off. They're never quite spot on.
Really got into the game in an attacking sense very much, nor did Hammers. And I'm going to credit Brighton to that. I think they knew that if they stopped Sigurdsson, if they stopped Hammers, and if they stopped Richarlison, we'd offer nothing. And
Brighton played well. I think Brighton played well. They did the job. They got what they wanted to do.
Suma, because he looks like the closest thing to Decore. He looks like he's got more of a bit of pace about him even than Decore.
I think he's great. I mean, I've said that before. Basuma's a good player. He reminds me actually a bit like Gay, but with a little bit more flair. Because he can tackle as well, and he gets stuck in. Dave's said Carlo's never finished outside the top 6. I mean, he did finish outside the top 6 last season, but if you're talking about full seasons, then yeah. I mean, I think we'll finish 9th.
When you think about Ancelotti, what he's planning up with, in his managerial career, he's had what? Lampard, Modric, Kaka, Ronaldinho, just to name 4 midfielders that he's had. And now he's working with Tom Davies. And,
it's not just Davis, though. I think Coleman put in a good effort, but I thought most of the players were poor. You look at someone like Michael Keane, just, that pass into someone's foot and then he took someone out to stop a goal. I just thought, you're brainless. You're brain dead. And I am blaming Ancelotti tonight more than the players because I know what the limitations of these players are. What?
Mina's out for 2 to 3 weeks.
Says who?
Ancelotti said if it looks like something muscular, so it'll be at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Fuck off.
He said he's definitely out for the Spurs game.
Bad enough. He's like a statue anyway. He can't run.
We're down to 11 fit first teamers now.
I wouldn't mind, but they're not overly there's no overexertion here.
How can we be down to 11 players when we've got an oversubscribed squad that we're trying to clear out?
All flaky players that get injured. This is why they don't run.
Recall Walcott. We should have recalled Walcott weeks ago. We got nothing on the right.
It's not that. It's the Moise Keane one.
Well, there's no point in calling him. He doesn't want to play for us. We've got strikers. We just don't have wingers. And we got midfielders injured. We've got defenders. We're stacked in defenders. We don't desperately need Koulibaly.
Yeah, I think we do. I think we do because we're so limited in the way we can play. You saw how deep we were today. We're playing on the edge of our box most of the game. Frightened to open up any space in midfield because we'll get overrun.
I don't think there is much space in midfield because the opponents know that if they put a tiny bit of pressure on us, we won't be able to break through them. We haven't got quality on the ball in midfield. As you said, Tom Davies, he's just going to pass it backwards and sideways.
Or get snapped. Dave said, what's a training regime if so many getting injured? Had the same conversation before with a friend of mine. You've seen the training videos. It doesn't look like they're doing anything overly zealous, is it? I'm infuriated. I'm very infuriated about that Gabamin one. A
That
contact
was a
knee injury.
contact.
What are they doing?
Didn't he
Is he
have
made of
this?
glass?
Didn't he have the second injury? Was it Achilles injury? He did it
He's
playing.
had a few injuries.
He did it playing football, tennis, I think.
He's had the injury. I'm just thinking now. He had the one he tore it off the bone, and then he had another injury, the Achilles one, and then he come back and he had another injury that the club kept quiet. I think someone might be in your room, so I'm booting him off briefly. He had an injury and he did come back. Apparently, he was very close to training with the first team, or joining in with the group, and then got injured again, and the club kept it quiet. And I think it's just been a repetitive cycle for Jean-Philippe Gbamin, and I think we have to draw the line at some point and say, this player can't be relied on. He's clearly made of glass, or there's something not right with him. But it is really unfortunate. But for us to be a side that spent 500 million on players, and we're still scraping around trying to put an 11 together and playing like that, I think's diabolical. Obviously, moving forward, we're playing Spurs on Friday. We beat Spurs twice this season. Beat them at Goodison Park in the FA Cup 5-4. And in the first game of the season. Now, I just think this current Everton side is just light years away from the side that we saw at the start of the season. It's like chalk and cheese. When we played them away at White Hart Lane, there was so much control. It was like everyone knew what they were doing. And yeah, I know we nicked it 1-0 from a set piece, but we just looked like a really bright team with a plan. And now I just think we look like a lethargic team trying to scrape to the end of the season, the epitome of mid-table. And that really upsets me. Dave, would you agree with me on that? That we look like we're already on the beach, metaphorically speaking, I'd say, because there's no summer holidays at this stage. You're muted, mate. I'm unmuting you. Go on.
Thank you.
Are we on the beach?
Last season we were on the beach, didn't we? We had a chance to get into Europe, and it was a long shot, but probably about as long a shot as we have of getting in the Champions League now as we had getting into Europe last season. And we just didn't turn up for the last half a dozen fixtures.
Are we the most boring team in the league? I want people to comment.
Yes.
If you're watching this, I know it is late. There's 4 of you still with us, and I'm sure we'll have a few watching on catch up. We know it's late, but we want to get this off our chest and have the content for people to watch tomorrow. Are we the most boring team in the league? Comment, because I'm starting to think we are. I'm not. I don't sit and watch Everton and think, "Wow, I'm so entertained." It's very rare that we see a piece of play that you just think, "Wow, that's fantastic football." It's not happening often enough. And you know what I'm putting that down to? I'm putting that down to the lack of combinations in the team, partnerships. Roberto Martinez always used to say partnerships were so important.
We have nothing.
There's no
when we
chemistry between
do,
any of them.
there is the odd moment where we get in along, down the sides. There's a couple of combinations and we fashion something out of it, or we win a corner. And it almost feels like that is our highest, that's the pinnacle of our play. And it's like a shock, but, it shouldn't be like that. That should be a regular occurrence, like under Martinez. And even Marco Silva, we played better football than this. This is all
At times. Dave, I think the football in general all season's not been good. But I think there's 7 games at the start of the season where I thought we looked good, and there's been a few controlled away performances. But in general, Dave actually disagrees with me on this, and says it's more predictable than boring. What do you think?
They both masked by the same thing. I think we're bored because it's predictable.
Yeah. I'm bored because I'd like to see an Everton team that plays fast, aggressive football with purpose, that looks controlled on the ball. We have wingers who want to beat a man and cross it, and we don't have any of them.
But what is it about this side that means we can't be more aggressive? Because we've shown it before away at Leeds.
We did it for 10 minutes at the end, and it just involves stretching the game so much that we look like we're going to concede ourselves.
And that's usually what happens when we play at home. But, it's a risk we've got to take when we're chasing European football, especially in this sort of fixture. because you let it keep going down now. We've only got a few fixtures left. As you said before, there's only so many fixtures to make up the points. So we needed to win.
I
If
can't
that
really
means,
watch it anymore. I'm at the point where I don't want to watch it, which is annoying. And obviously, I'm hosting these Everton videos and I'm thinking to myself, oh God, we're playing again. And I actually want it to stop because I don't see us getting any better. I
but
don't see it getting better.
how
It's a
will we?
fundamentally flawed system, David.
How are we playing on Friday when we've the last to play in the league? The last to play in one match week, and then the first to play in the next. You know,
Who
and
the
we
hell's done that
all
schedule?
those injuries just all at once, and we're playing 4 days later.
Come off it. Who's come up with that? It's just scandalous. The thing is, I think Spurs are quite similar to us. They're not very entertaining. They're a bit boring. They're very defensive. They're predictable. The difference between us and Spurs, they've got three outstanding players at least.
I
Kane,
think that's
Son.
why and I think we'll talk about it in the preview. They've got a massive reputation now for being bottlers and being very boring. And I think that is emphasised by the fact they've got Kane up front and Son, who are world-class
Yeah.
players. We don't
I
really
think that
have
with
that.
Spurs is because their defense is weak, and I think he knows that. That's why he has to play so defensive to compensate. But it's his own fault. He's playing Eric Dyer in defense. He's shite. You know, he's proven he's an absolute liability. It was a masterstroke getting rid of him because he's an awful footballer. He was a decent defensive midfielder, but he's terrible centre back. And you know, we'll talk about Spurs in more detail on Thursday
But
ahead of the game on Friday. But
they are our I'd say they're our main rivals now
for what? Conference League, Europa Conference
for
League.
the Conference League. I think seventh
Don't
is
want that.
where I think we can finish seventh, but at the moment I feel like we'll finish eighth.
It's crap. And you know what? The players that are letting us down are the first that are going to hand the notice in and say I'm off. Richarlison. I think Calvert-Lewin might
I don't think
interest a couple of teams as
Richarlison
well.
did anything wrong tonight.
He didn't get a sniff. But then in the games he has had a sniff,
Last week he wasn't good, but
the thing with Richarlison is obviously we all really love Richarlison, but apart from that little section where he went on a run, maybe in 8 games, 9 games, the rest of the season he's been awful.
yeah,
He's been playing with like lead in his boots.
If he played to his potential the whole season, he certainly wouldn't be staying, would he? Because he'd have to play. He'd want to play in the Champions League.
But I think it's because he's too weighed down and so frustrated that in some of the games he doesn't get the ball, and then when it comes to it, he snatches at it and kind of lets himself down. He's inconsistent. He's becoming more inconsistent, which is a shame because he used to be so reliable.
What did you think of Holgate in midfield in the first half today? Because it's something that a lot of fans have called for a while.
He's better than some of the others that have played in midfield for us. He's got more bite. He seems to read the game quite well in there. I think it helps us. I don't think his passing's particularly great, but then you're looking at who you're comparing it to, and are the other players that have been in midfield any better?
I don't think they're much better, to be honest. I mean, maybe Allen has a bit more. I don't think Holgate's any worse than Davies in terms of vision and passing. He's played a couple of long balls. There was one against Palace that was a through-on ball, an over-the-top ball to Calvert-Lewin. He was through on goal. And
he moves the ball quite well.
He played
and he runs.
Ball. I think he's got the vision and the ability to play the pass, and I think sometimes he rushes it.
Holgate is one I'm not majorly keen on him as a central defender because I think he switches off. He drops off as well and plays people on side. I think he's better as a right back, but then the problem is he's a very defensive right back. He doesn't really offer anything going forward. I think he's good. I think he's a good midfielder, actually. I think he's got a lot of bite. He reads the game well. He covers the ground. He gets stuck in. If he had someone who can do a bit more around him, a couple of better midfielders in terms of distribution and creativity, he could be an okay option in midfield. He is a utility player for me. He's not going to nail down a place. And to be honest,
if you were playing 3 at the back, I think he's very well suited to playing right in the 3.
A Godfrey could play left of the 3. We tried it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work because we don't have the fullbacks. They don't have the legs.
No.
Answer this.
Well, would Godfrey be an option in midfield? Well,
let's stick him up front.
Based on what I saw tonight, I think Holgate can do that job But I'm sure Godfrey would be equally as good in there. I mean, maybe he hasn't got the passing as Holgate, but he's certainly got more dynamism. He's got more pace and more energy than Holgate. One thing that does annoy me is when I see Godfrey on the right. I just don't think he is as comfortable defending on the right. And I think we saw
Doesn't make any sense,
when he
does it?
played
Really?
left back. He was really comfortable and barely anyone got past him. And I think playing left of the three at centre back makes me feel more comfortable, and Holgate at right naturally because they played left and right back. I just don't understand why now Holgate plays left of the three and Godfrey right of the three. But
Ping the balls.
I don't know.
I mean, I look at this game and I just think it's another missed opportunity. We've thrown it away again, and there's only so many of these you can miss. And the results, to be honest, of this weekend have gone against us. Whereas last week we maybe got away with it. I don't think we've got away with it this weekend.
No, we haven't. The teams have gone above us. They've got away from us now, and now the game in hand is just to claw back some points to get closer to them. We can't overtake them. We can overtake Spurs, but I think it just puts us at one place if we would win that game in hand now. We're 4 points behind the Red Shite, and I think, a month ago we would have been saying we'd like to finish above them would have been one of the targets. And that doesn't look like it's going to happen now. I mean, I hope it does, but we look like we're losing pace on that group, right at a critical time in the season. We've got nothing left in the tank.
They're not they're not standout teams either. They're not vintage football teams this season.
They're going to drop points because they've been inconsistent. Spurs, Liverpool, who else is there? Chelsea and West Ham look a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's your top five.
What?
And Liverpool 6.
Chelsea and West Ham getting 4th and 5th. Yeah.
7th does absolutely nothing for us, though.
I've got to say, Spurs, I feel like they're the closest to us, and I think they have a habit of mucking things up. But they've got the cup final, and if they win that, they secure 7th as their European space, even if they finish 8th or 9th. So it's in Spurs' hands at the moment.
Right. So what does that happen to us if we finish 7th?
Nothing, because if they win the Carabao Cup, then they would take 7th spot if they finished outside the top 7. But
so
they're playing
we're not going to be in Europe.
I don't think we need to worry too much about that.
Any other business?
No, it just really. I don't know about disappointing. I just came to expect it when I saw the team. I was slightly hoping it would be a Wolves performance where we went and we didn't have any strikers, and we didn't even have Richarlison, did we, that night? And we had Hammers and Gylfi up front, and we still won the game. And it just wasn't to be tonight. It just didn't work. Too many defenders.
It stunk of negativity tonight, and I think it stunk of a 0-0 quite early on.
You could tell it was going to be 0-0 halfway through the first half.
Yeah, I was going to say about 20 minutes, and I thought no one's going to score here.
It got to 87 minutes before he put one of the kids on. He didn't give Nkunku a chance at left mid. He didn't give any of the kids really. 5 minutes is not going to get us anywhere.
That's a good point. I'm going to interrupt you there. I want to make a video on this at some point as well. And Nkunku, every time I've seen him, he looks like a good threat. He's got a left foot. He crosses the ball and he runs with it. Is he just not everything Everton are missing? I'm sure he's not experienced. Of course he's not, but
can't he do a job?
He surely must be better than what we've got.
He's got a good cross on him, hasn't he? He's got pace.
He crosses it and beats people. Just stick him on left wing and say, have a go.
Sometimes, if I look back in the last 5-10 years, sometimes we have played an academy player for a few games and done a job for us. Maybe they long term they haven't managed to sustain themselves in the team, but I'm sure he could do a job for us on the wing while we've got no wingers.
In a game like this, when we had no one, I think I would have played him left mid. It's a good point, that actually. I completely forgot about him.
I think you're banking on playing a 4 at the back, aren't you, if you do that?
Yeah, 4-4-2.
I don't think we were ever going to do that tonight.
I don't even know, because there's no one there. You could play 4-4-1-1. I don't know. I think the Nkunku one would suit when you've got Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison at front and just say you and Dean cross the ball into him. Cross the ball into them.
think tonight stank of negativity, didn't it? You know, that it was like a back six and then three in front, just in front, and then one up front.
Mm.
At least if we'd gone 4-4-2, I think we would have had more chances of building up through the lines with the four centre backs. Still would have been solid.
It was a
Genie
5-3-1,
scoring, and then
5-3-1-1, wasn't it?
something ridiculous like that. I call it 5-4-1 at times, but very narrow four.
Dave, I think it's time to wrap it up. We've gone on. I think a lot of it's born out of frustration and anger. It is really disappointing, and don't take everything we say to heart in this moment because we're really wound up and upset and frustrated. But we will. So just quickly coming on Tom, who says we need to beat Spurs for Europe. Tom, mate, you're spot on. I think it's a must win, and I think we've been saying that every game. But at one point, it was a must win for fourth. Now it was a must win for top six, and now I think it's just a must win to restore some respectability and try and get maybe
a must win for
seventh
Europe,
place.
as Tom says, because they are. I see them as our only really main rivals. It's them or us for Europe
Because they're just as bad as us.
Exactly. It's just who can throw it away quicker.
Who's worse? Not who's any better. And I think if we carry on like this, we're gonna lose someone like James Rodriguez, which would be devastating. Because who wants to stick around and play for a team finishing 9th or 10th in the league playing crap football?
But I think Mina goes, then I think James is looking like, I'm gonna go.
We're so negative right now. We're so miserable. To get off the screen. We'll come back to you. We'll be more positive. We'll be more enthusiastic, and we'll be in a better place on Thursday to preview the Spurs game. And knowing us, we'll beat Spurs, and it'll all be back on. We'll scrape a win. Thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you.